Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So we are officially, I guess this would be like full day one of summer for my kiddos. Well, a couple of them. The younger ones, it was just Memorial Day yesterday, and I'm recording this on Tuesday after Memorial Day. And per usual, I went for a run this morning and got some great downloads while I was running. But that's not even what I'm going to dive into right now. I'm going to actually share with you something like in the moment. So this morning, it felt like a Monday, but it was a Tuesday. And Tuesdays are usually pretty, not packed, but I tend to have a lot of to-dos on Tuesday because Monday I kind of ease into the week. I only have a few things that I need to attend to, and then Tuesday seems to be a bit more heavy. And so I kind of felt that anxious energy from the start. And then we were trying to head out the door. I had someone call me for one of the businesses and then someone call me for the other business, and I was trying to coordinate that while also getting myself out the door with the kids and my husband, and patients were running a little bit low, and I started to walk out the door actually without my shoes. First, I was trying to wave my husband to go without me, and then he gave me this look like, no, I'm going to need you to come to this appointment with me. We were looking at another property this morning, and I was waving him out the door while I'm on the phone trying to talk about something else. So it just 100% fully distracted and absolutely agitated. I get off the call, and I just sat in the car. Usually I tend to be the one who dives into a conversation, and instead I really just sat with the overwhelm and the anxiety that I was feeling based off of the situation of trying to get out the door. Additionally, full disclosure, children screaming or maybe in the background because we're in summer mode. So I don't edit these. This is real and raw. You're just going to get it. So heading out the door, or rather I'm in the car, and I really wanted to unload on my husband and fuss at him because he was trying to talk to me while I was on the phone, while I was trying to figure something out, and it was just a lot that came at me in a very short period of time. And instead, I took a lot of deep breaths in the car. And at one point, my husband was staring at me, trying to figure out what I was doing. But I was just taking some deep breaths, just really sitting with the overwhelm of the situation, or the situations, because there were multiple things that were happening at that time. And I really just sat with it for maybe about 15 minutes. It took us about 15 minutes to get to the property from our house, and I just sat with it. It was really uncomfortable because I totally wanted to distract myself and do some doom scrolling and answer emails and really ignore it. And instead I just sat with it. And I was like, all right, we're going to breathe through this. This is okay, right? None of this is crisis mode. It's absolutely okay. And as I sat with it and breathed through it, I realized that the system that I was using at that time was not great. So that was part of the overwhelm, was that there wasn't a clear-cut, clean kind of a thing. And I really love structure and systems because it allows me to do so much and still have my freedom. And so I'm thinking through this after I had gotten out of the overwhelm and anxiety, because I do believe that those are choices that we make to stay in that space. And so I got myself out of that, just kind of breathed through it and just told myself, hey, this is okay. There was nothing crisis mode, right? It was taken care of. It's fine. And then once I was through those emotions, I said, okay, well, what caused this? And how can I prevent it next time, right? And so it was very clear to me that there needs to be some clearer structures and some more boundaries around some things. And so that's what I'll spend some time this afternoon doing, is just getting very clear on what that is so that this situation doesn't seem to happen again. Now, will overwhelm happen as you're trying to get children and yourself out the door and you forget shoes? Yeah, for sure. But the thing about this is that I didn't lose my mind at anybody. I didn't stop and scream and throw a little bit of a temper tantrum. I really just maintained, like, I managed it. I felt it, I let it go, so I definitely didn't shove it down, which some people can do in the moment, is they just kind of ignore it and they shove it down, and then it blows up like a volcano later on. And that's not what I did. I worked through it and then came out with clarity on the other side. Like, here's the situation. This was what the overwhelm was actually about. Because oftentimes the blow up, the volcano eruption, has nothing to do with the moment, that very moment. It's all the buildup from before. And that is what happens in our lives, where one thing goes wrong, we lose our minds over the fact that our husband left his socks on the ground. Well, it wasn't the socks in that moment. It was the buildup, and the socks were the actual eruption. And so when you can process them and manage them in the moment, it doesn't become a blow up later on. And it allows you to actually adjust and adapt and make changes so that you are actually bettering yourself, and these situations don't continue to occur again and again and again and again and again. Because the situation will continue to occur, you'll continue to attract it until you move through it and you've processed it and you've learned from it. Now, there are different levels of these situations. This is something that I have been working on this year. Is the word for this year, my year, is abundance, but it's really refinement is what I'm finding out. Because there are a lot of ongoing themes that I've been refining over the years. And I keep getting these little nudges of, okay, here's a refinement coming up, and okay, how do we tailor this one? And yes, you've got a lot on your plate, but this is something that you asked for. So how do we adjust and adapt and move through it? And it's really getting like live feedback as I go through. I just have a very different way of looking at things. And so overwhelm used to take me out, and I would lose my mind and scream and yell at my kids. And I hated it. I didn't want to be the parent who screamed and yelled, but that seemed to be my only outlet. And so today in the car, I did some deep breathing. I didn't do tapping. I've tried tapping before. The last time I tried tapping, I just found that I was really tapping quite aggressively on myself, and I figured that was probably not the best place for me to be. And so breath work has been really powerful for me. I have taken some breathwork classes, but just deep breathing for me is really what helps in the moment to really move through those emotions. So I say all of this to, one, share with you in the moment, earlier today, what I was able to work through, but also just kind of a reminder of grace. Because often, I know this from experience, when I get into a situation like that, I can beat myself up for not knowing better. But the truth is, there are no two situations that are identical. There are a lot of similarities in situations that will come up and again, but none of them are identical. And so it's about choosing your response instead of a reaction. Because being overwhelmed and turning it into yelling and screaming at your kids is a reaction. Being overwhelmed and choosing deep breath instead is a response. And that's what I go for. I want to be present enough that I'm not giving these knee-jerk reactions where I lose my mind over something, because the truth of the matter is there are very few things that require me to scream and yell about. Very few things. And most of the time, really not most of the time, nobody handles it well when you yell and scream at them, right? Someone were to turn around and yell and scream at you, you would immediately be on the defense and the situation would be totally blown out of proportion. And any sort of reconciliation would probably get thrown out the window. And so slowing down long enough to respond is really where I like to hang out. So I'm sending you a lot of love. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I'm going to keep these short and sweet because I never know when a kid's going to come up and interrupt me at this point of the summer. So I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.